Hey,
We've done the pre-show twice now.
I know we've just talked and I just deleted everything because I started talking some mad shit. So,
Focus.
all that good stuff. Here's what greetings.
Hello.
Welcome to or welcome back to Morbid Mondays, your unhinged source. We are unhinged.
Very.
For what the fuck moments throughout history, we will take turns. I have a stutter. Giving you a weekly tour of all the gross, gory, and downright odd moments in history. We're your hosts. I'm Brian.
I'm Katie.
Now let's get into it. So, the reason why we're avoiding things so hard is because it's my turn. It's also June, and I just got back from preparing quite a bit for Pride because I was with a booth of friends down where we live doing cool stuff at a Pride place around mutual aid.
I missed my entire crochet deadline for this one. That cardigan was supposed to be ready for Pride, and it absolutely was not.
Oh, man. Is that what you've been, going on? Oh, okay.
Frantically crocheting on.
I see. Yeah, you could. It was so damn hot. It was crazy
absolutely
hot.
not.
A lot of fun, though. Yeah, I mean, it's always a fucking blast.
Oh yeah, I love the sense of community.
Yeah,
I love that. Like listen. For those that have never been to a Pride anything, go to a Pride event and you will never meet an actual stranger there. Like you could turn to a rando that you've just walked up on and ask them a question, and they will answer you like they are your best friend.
Yeah. And seriously, like as a pretty normie looking person, right? Like I definitely have. If you met me out in the world, I get this all the time where people just start talking like right leaning talking points to me because of kind of how I look, right? White guy, glasses, fading hairline. So like I wear a lot of flannel. So like,
whereas I look like a poison frog, hot pink hair, nose ring.
I'm gonna dye my if I had a better hairline, I would dye it. Like it just looks kind of silly when you have. But at some point, I'm getting piercings or something. I gotta do something to keep that shit from happening. It's pissing me off. But I say all that to say this: like even with that going on, whole day talking to tons of people. Only like one or two people look nervous to talk to me.
Really?
Yeah, like which is great because I talked to like hundreds of people.
I'm surprised you found anybody that was nervous there.
Well, they were a young trans individual.
Oh, okay.
And I, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I get excited, I have a lot of presence. Yes. So like I get it. You know,
can
like
confirm.
So I'm like, and I'm so loud.
You have the charisma.
Yeah.
He does. He does.
I'm definitely an in-person person. Like I'm the least photogenic human being. I'm an in-person person. As opposed to a non-person in person.
I think we're hedging back into AI territory there.
And slender man person.
No.
So here's what I'm wanted to talk about today and why we took so much time not talking about the story.
Avoiding it.
As we said in the pre-show, we're going to discuss for Pride and for the month of June, which is a great month in gay history, and the Stonewall riots, and or goes by many, many names. The Stonewall Uprising is what a lot of people prefer these days because it was part of a chain of uprisings that very much needed to happen. And around that event of people busting up places because they were serving the gay community or queer community really at large, I figured it would be a good time to talk about why and where and how that happened, how being any kind of same-sex relationship or trans or anything of that nature kind of started being made illegal.
Which is ridiculous because it's not like it's new or anything.
Literally not.
Like,
yeah.
Like queer and homosexuality, whatever name you want to call it, has existed since the beginning of time. And it's not even like restricted to humans.
No, pretty common in animals.
We see it in animals.
In fact, to an extreme extent, right? Many reptilian species can change their sex type to have children. Like,
is it cuttlefish that will typically be in a male, I fucking hate to say this, but like an alpha male, kind of an omega male, and a female group?
I don't know, but I see where you're going with that though, and that actually kind of touches into our conversation about early male sexuality
Yeah.
in same-sex spaces, because the thing is, like, gay, lesbian, bi, those are very new terms.
Yeah.
And new is in, like, in the grand, vast history of human civilization, a couple of hundred years.
Yeah.
I mean, like, some of these less than 100. And I say that because, like, sexual identity wasn't really a thing. Like, as a social construct, is an identity.
Yeah, there was a hot second there where it really didn't fucking matter.
No, it was basically like, and that person prefers males.
Yeah, like we had several French kings that were like that.
Yeah, and it was also kind of assumed that you also participated in, like, child rearing. So you would have men or women who preferred same-sex relationships that were also married and had kids. You know, like, those two things would happen at the same time.
I don't understand. Okay, so since I was about to say I don't fucking understand, please, Brian, educate me.
So
let me just give you that segue real quick.
Let's start with early humanity. I mean, obviously, we don't have a lot of records from Neolithic humans, but I figured it would be a good time to talk about gender roles, because gender roles are kind of where a lot of this begins.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a big myth, huge myth, that not we all, but many people believe in still to this day. And that is around hunter.
Are we doing the hunter and gathering?
Yes.
Yes!
Hunter-gatherer society of women would be the gatherers and manly men would be hunters. There is no man who is, not even like Eddie Hall, who is strong enough to bring down a fucking mastodon.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
No.
It takes huge groups of people to do things like this, or even to just be safe from predators. So, like, the real answer to, like, what would happen if 100 human beings fought a gorilla, the gorilla would run because there's 100 human beings running at it.
And its heart would eventually pop because humans are built to be endurance hunters.
Yeah, if we're just in a cage fight, that's a different story.
Yeah.
If we encounter a gorilla in the wild, yes, that's what happens. We all throw rocks and sticks, and there's 100 of us. And that's how we used to kill mastodon, is like backing them into a fucking pit. You know, like,
or backing them off a cliff.
Yeah. So
there's several. That's the word I'm looking for here.
Oh, like bone pits.
Thank you.
Like that you would assume are like elephant graveyards, except for the bones are all covered in
fossil records. Why was I struggling with that?
Well, because
I've had coffee today. What's wrong with me?
It's like a weird thing, though, right? Because it's not really. It's one of those things that's just like, and we found these bones in a mud pit because they're not really like fossils.
Like fossils, like you would think of fossils.
Yeah. And so here's the thing, right? We know of and categorized and examined tons of graves that have involved a bone set, a person, and then a bunch of hunter tools that we assumed were male.
Mm-hmm.
And then now that
Studying
we have genetics
pelvis.
and now we have like genetics, and we have we can search for certain proteins that are made as a byproduct of your genetics, and we can tell that these are female.
Yes.
And then that prompted scientists to go look at a bunch of other evidence.
Like, isn't there I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. There's a tomb specifically in, I want to say, Scotland, that they thought for the longest time was like a warrior chief. Like, big scary dude. Like, there's like 15 horses and all of the weapons and crazy armor and stuff, all buried in one of those great big like burial mounds. Yeah. And then like just in the last like 5 years, they were doing like genetic testing and discovered it was a woman.
There is some stuff around some Viking burials, and
is that what it is? Maybe
Saxon type burials that are usually like mounds. And then there's Cairn stuff, right? And so we didn't know. There is a very famous Viking burial where a person's buried in a stone ship, and there's armor and there's weapons and all this kind of stuff. It was kind of assumed, and then find out that it was like probably a queen. And so there's a little bit of we don't know if this person was actually a warrior or these are the trappings of a very wealthy person. Either way, they had them. They had the weapons and all that kind of stuff. That was part of their identity as being considered a warrior. But yeah, we find this all throughout history that, especially once you start having weapons, brute strength is not really the name of the game once you get into like bows.
Oh yeah.
right?
As an archer myself, yeah.
Yeah, like that does matter. And when you're talking about things like longbows and clout archery and stuff like that, right? But the thing is that when we think about gender roles in ancient, like Paleolithic, Neolithic groupings of early humans and hominids before that, the thing is, you're talking about groups of people that are largely just trying to survive. We do have evidence of like Cro-Magnon people maybe killing a Neanderthal, which is the Iceman thing.
Yeah.
And mostly you're looking at very, very large semi-egalitarian.
Nice.
Remember, things like marriage don't exist. Everybody's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like we find
marriages, we would understand it.
Yeah. You might have pairings of people in deeply connected emotional relationships, but there's no evidence to show that people have like one partner.
Yeah.
That's not really a thing. Not in the like caveman days, right? You don't really start getting that until you get into like agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're talking about people own things.
Vast tracts of land.
Yeah, where you have houses or farm fields. Who owns that? And even in the early agriculture, you've got societies that are like built around grain, in which the monetary system is just grain. Like the whole community still works. All the grain goes into a big silo. What is like money is a token that says this is worth this much of grain.
Yeah.
So that like you have to work together in low tech societies or you will die. Like that's just how it works.
How that works.
There's not.
That's what it was one of the things that I never understood about the I'm a lone wolf. Okay, so
starve to death in the woods. You know, like
oh, that's unfortunate. You're gonna die. No, that means I'm tough. No, that's not what that means.
Yeah, and contrary to popular online belief, alpha males largely lead and serve their own community, not like that is a fucking chimpanzee thing. Alpha wolves, quote unquote, are like first in, last out.
Yeah.
They are responsible for everything and to some degree. I mean, like it's really it's kind of a tough gig.
Like, pass.
Yeah. So I say all this to like show the very beginnings of some of this stuff of like we don't know
social structures.
Yeah, social structures and sexuality not really being a defined thing. But here is where we start getting society and cities and laws. What's the good way to say this? A segregation of behavior, right? Like where people say like this is the right way to behave or that's not okay or this is illegal or whatever. Most of it has to do with the cultural or religious beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I say cultural or religious because in looking up, like, hey, when did this happen? When did being in a same-sex relationship start being not allowed? The earliest thing that I could find on record, and there might be more because they're references. We don't have all the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But in Assyria, in ancient Assyria, way, 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 way back in the day. And
shit.
Yeah. It goes that far back. Yeah. Super far back. But this is going to require quite a bit of explanation because...
Exposition dump. Let's go.
Yeah. I stumbled onto this because somebody, a stupid AI thing, told me because you can't avoid it anymore. It just shoves it in your face. It was like, started talking about Leviticus, right? As being a thing that was like referenced at the time. That the Assyrians brought in Leviticus laws when this group of people came over or something like that. And like I read it and it sounded like it might have some guts to it. And so I traced the source, which is just Wikipedia. And then I kept looking and it was like, that's not what it said at all. Like, in fact, Assyrian civilization vastly predates, like the city of Jerusalem. So like, I was just like, okay, whatever. So I started looking, right? Here's what we've got. We've got this thing called like Tablet A, and it's got a bunch of laws in it, early laws, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to read a couple of these laws. Assyria existed in the 2nd to 1st millennia BCE. The period that we're talking about here is what's called Middle Assyria. So it's not when they're first starting up, and it's not when this is before they are the Assyrian Empire.
Mm-hmm.
This is just Assyria, right? A grouping of city-states and not city-states, a grouping of places in northern Iraq. some Syria, which is where that word comes from, actually, and Turkey. So this is like, I think it's like the 7th or 8th century, somewhere around that BCE. This is this is from Tablet A. This is something that we have during the reign of King Tiglath-Pileser the first. That's what I think. I think that's how you say that. I have no idea.
Listen, I stumbled all over Russian names last week. It's your turn.
Yeah.
Suffer.
In the Middle Assyrian period. Oh, sorry. We have an exact date. 1450 through 1050. That's not a single king. That's a lot of kings.
That's a bunch of kings.
BCE. This is the time period.
We're going into that weird biblical period where people are living for 1,000 years for some reason.
I'm going to read a couple of laws.
Please.
From you, right? If a man to his equal, whether in private or publicly during a quarrel, everyone has intercourse with your wife, and further, I will myself bring a sworn charge against her, yet does not bring the charge and does not prove it, that man shall receive 40 strokes with the rod. He shall perform the king's service for 1 month. He shall be branded, and he shall pay 1 talent of tin. That sounds like a bunch of weird Shakespearean words, and that's because a lot of this was translated by a British guy a long time ago. Here's what this means.
Thank you, because I'm like translating it in my head. And
so if a man says to his equal, this is why I brought up all the social stuff.
Hey, bro.
Even weirder than that, right? Because we're talking about ancient times, things like slaves exist.
Yeah.
So by his equal, he means of social standing.
Yeah.
This is not a child. This is not a captive. This is not a woman. It's another man of social standing.
Of equal social standing.
Equal social standing.
Yeah.
Right? So if he's an aristocrat, the other person's an aristocrat.
Yeah.
If he says during a fight in the streets or to another person, everyone has intercourse with your wife. You know, in other words, you are alleging that
you're a cuck.
That's exactly it. It's not that you're alleging adultery. It's alleging that this person's social standing is being diminished.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big thing in the ancient world.
I spend a lot of time on the internet.
Yes. It's the social standing thing, right? That's going to come back in like Greece and Rome and everywhere else.
Yeah.
The idea of it's not that you're gay, it's that you're a bottom.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or that you're the person putting this into play. So let's keep going with that, because this is about all that stuff about he shall receive 40 strokes with a rod, whippings with a cane.
Yeah.
Right? He shall perform the king's service. I have no idea what that means. I assume that means he's a debt bonded person for a while.
Yeah, it's what it's striking me as. Like you're working
like Punic.
Yeah.
Like penal colony duty, basically. Like you are now like a prisoner that has to do stuff, semi-slavery.
It's community service.
Yeah. You shall be branded. Of course, that means what it means, right? And you shall pay a talent. A talent is a amount of something that's a monetary standard.
It was usually done by weight.
That's correct. Yeah. And also where talon comes from. It's like a talon of silver. It's a kind of a call to that. So, and tin, this is pre-Bronze Age or during the start of the Bronze Age. So tin is one of the things that makes bronze very valuable.
Yes.
So we keep going. And this is in section 19. That was section 18. This is section 19 of the law.
Directly below it.
Directly below it. Oh, also that whole thing was about a false accusation. All those things would happen if it's not true. Now, if it's true, there's a whole different other thing. And now we're in section 19.
Oh.
If a man secretly slandered his equal, saying everyone has him, or during a public quarrel said to him, everyone has you, and further, I will myself bring a sworn charge against you. In other words,
so if you call somebody a hoe,
yeah, if you're like everyone's got that booty, that's basically what he's
you
saying.
are the town bicycle.
Yeah, to another man specifically of his equal status, and I'm going to bring charges against you. Right, so that should tell us, if we're looking at this, that part of this act is illegal. Otherwise, what are you bringing charges against?
Yeah, well, it's slander.
Right. So, like, there's slander, but also, if it's true, well, then you're accusing something that's probably illegal in some sense. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, why would why would it be true or not true, right? And all the same stroke, except for now 50 strokes. So 10 more hits.
Add 10 more for being a hoe.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's what in this history people are actually getting in trouble for. If a man spreads rumors in secret about his companion, the person he's sleeping with, saying everyone commits sodomy with him. This is a different translation of the same passage. They did not use the word sodomy. That story was not around, and that's not what that story is about.
I know.
So this is an English translation. They're trying to use a common word that makes sense to most of us. Everyone commits sodomy with you, and further, I can prove the charges against you. Yet he is unable to prove those charges, and then he gets all those punishments, right? So here's what's actually being alleged in here, or we think. What we think is going on here is that either you're alleging that you are willingly stepping down in social situations, which is not necessarily illegal in their code, but is like heavily socially looked down upon. In other words, you might be removed from your social status.
Yeah.
If you are the person who is like topping in this scenario, if you're the person who is especially, a lot of scholars have looked at these laws and said that a lot of them seem to pertain. Before we go any further, trigger warnings.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, we're going to be talking.
We're really bad about that lately.
Yeah. Jeez, I completely forgot.
I missed them last week. You missed them this week.
So obviously, we're going to be talking about sexual relations, however taboo you may think those are.
And there may be some implication of SA.
Yes, in fact, we're heading into that fairly quickly. In fact, it's going to have I'm not going to go into any kind of gory detail with that, but it will be talked about in social context to the past.
Yeah, coming at it from a historical point of view, that was male on male SA was one of the biggest fuck yous in history.
It's a big fuck you. In fact, the punishments for it are wild.
Yeah.
So, in fact, and this is probably the darkest it's going to get is like in the next 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're going to be talking about homophobia because that's kind of what today's thing is all about. And which is so stupid.
Why are you scared about what other people are doing in the bedroom?
Yeah, all kinds of phobias, really, transphobia, all that kind of stuff. And then a lot of the social context of the past that might be a little upsetting to a lot of people. So that's a thing, right? We're talking our thing today is the whens, the whys, the hows of like where we are today as far as discrimination against LGBTQ. Not so much a little bit of the I. You know what I mean? There's a couple of cultures that deal with that. But for the most part, we're going to be talking about like queer relationships. And with that, let's keep going with this. So one of the things that gets alleged in this criminal code is, and the punishment for it, is that if you were to initiate sexual contact with another man as a man, specifically in this way, which we can say is like buggery, right? Like specifically if you are talking about
busting out a Victorian term.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
So because that's gonna come back up, right? In fact, so the word for sodomy in most of these cases will be buggery, because the thing that's happening here is that if you top another person in that way, because we break for this for a second, no one talks about like kissing or being in emotional relationships or anything like that. They're mostly talking about sexual domination, because at this point they don't really have a concept of like a gay relationship or a gay identity. They're talking explicitly about top and bottom. And for them, that means male, female, right? Like they look at the female position in sexuality as being subservient or lesser. So if there's two men, whoever's on the bottom is essentially lowering themselves from their social status, or the person on top is forcing the lowering of that social status. And that is dangerous to the status quo. Because imagine if you could make a king not a king.
Oh, yeah.
Or a lord no longer a lord. You are challenging the social hierarchy. And mostly that is patriarchal. And that's why we talked about all that women hunter stuff earlier, because we are entering into the age of patriarchy. So, like, most of the people who'd be listening to this already know what the fuck that is.
And for the record, fuck the patriarchy.
Yeah, it doesn't,
because it's hurting all of the dudes too.
Yeah, in fact, when you look at cultures that have a little more
patriarchal,
yeah,
input.
or even flex,
Yeah.
you get a lot more freedom and like art and shit. Like if you look at like Heian period Japan, where there's a lot more same-sex relationships, quite frankly. And there's a lot more women in things of like art and power, and sometimes they're warriors, and it's like the most artistic period in Japanese history. Like half of the plays, half of the writing, the Monogatari. That's hard for me to say right now.
Take two.
Yeah. But the Heike Monogatari, I think
there you go.
Is like all these cool classic works, all this kind of stuff comes from that time period. When you get into stuff like this, where like the guy is the paterfamilias and he can do whatever he wants all the time, things get really fucking weird really fast because women are not mentioned this at all.
Oh,
that's a common theme. Like when you look at like queer history laws, it's women are rarely ever mentioned because nobody cares if two girls are kissing.
Yeah.
They care heavily about like social status and whatever men are doing, and they care a lot if another man is touching your wife.
The repression is loud.
Yeah. It's because they're looking at women and they're looking at anyone who is on bottom as like property, right? Like that's kind of how that goes. Even when we look at like early legal codes, things like Leviticus in the Old Testament, women are more or less considered property. And so treating another man like that puts them in the role of property, which from their social hierarchy, a free man is like now a slave, right? You're treating him like a slave. The punishment for this, for being the like, especially if it's forced, is castration.
Yep. So you are now no longer a man.
And here's the logic behind this. It's a little bit like Hammurabi's like eye for an eye, right? So if you cause some...
It's weird that Hammurabi has come up like twice this week. It's only happened twice, but it's weird that it's happened twice now.
Yeah. So the whole thing of like, if you cause an accident, take someone's eye, your eye gets taken. So the idea behind this kind of law, and this is before that, the idea is the punishment has to fit the crime in some way. You are reducing a man in status, you get reduced in status.
Forever.
Yeah, because that's the thing, the other guy is reduced forever.
Yeah.
If it gets brought to public that they are a willing participant as a bottom, that's what's going on now. Everybody will look at them as lesser. So castration's the thing. Some interpretations mention that like we will let him be known, right? Means that like the guy's going to get essayed because they perceive what he did to the other person
as a violation.
Whether or not it was or not seems to be what a lot of scholars think about this. There's a lot of debate over whether these laws explicitly deal with rape or not. So like I say, like I don't know, right? This is above my pay grade. This is something for people with like doctorates in ancient history to debate with.
We are armchair historians.
Right. I read a lot that I don't know.
I wind up on weird places on the internet.
Yeah, I'm not translating cuneiform for anyone. You know what I mean? Like that's so that's what's going on here. Fast forward. We're going to fast forward a lot.
Oh yeah.
A couple hundred years actually. So into the rise of early Abrahamic religions. Now, Semitic cultures used to be incredibly wide and varied. They had multiple gods over a very large amount of land, stretching all the way from like Saudi Arabia to what is now like Palestine and a little further north.
And canonically, God had a wife.
Yeah, that's right. Asherah, in fact. So like you've got El and the Elohim, and there's like the religious landscape is very unique. And so you have more than one god, but you do have a hierarchy in the way that like Zeus is top dog and there's other gods and there's other big gods and sometimes they fight, but Zeus is still on top. It's very similar to that. And except for something really crazy is about to happen, which is that what we now would call like Judea or Judah, that whole area of what is the ancient Jewish culture is going to get invaded at some point, And a lot of these cities that have various gods in the Semitic culture are going to be sacked and destroyed by Babylonians or whoever, right?
That Babylon was a good time.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Right? Nebuchadnezzar's building shit. Yeah.
There was a lot going on in Babylon.
There's a lot. Huge.
Like
hanging
all the
gardens.
time.
Yeah, all the time. It built on the back of big cultures and became a great culture.
Yeah.
And also, that's what happens to the Assyrians. The Assyrians kind of bully everyone around them into like tribute. And then eventually a culture called the Medes and the Babylonians just kick the shit out of them and become the dominant culture. Babylon, ancient Babylon, kind of moves in, and a couple of other people move in over time. The Semitic culture is slowly kind of pushed down into what it more or less is today. And what I mean by that is like the religion gets canonized because the power gets situated in a smaller and smaller group of cities.
Mm-hmm.
Jerusalem becomes a big deal. But even before that, we start codifying a legal code in Abrahamic religion, which is Leviticus. The Levites are the people of the law and all that stuff. And a lot of people know the line in Leviticus about you shall not lie with another man as you lie with a woman. Yep. Paraphrasing there.
And that is not the translation.
Yeah. And it means something specific, right? In their age, that does not mean thou shalt not love another dude. What it means is you should not sexually dominate them in the way that you would sexually dominate a woman. It's very, very specific. And that means a very specific act, which is the act of penetration. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Assyrians were talking about. They weren't talking about people writing poetry together and shit. They were talking about something very, very specific.
And they were roommates.
Yeah, right. Which is why women aren't mentioned very much because there's no, you know what I mean? It's
until you get to the entire island of Lesbos.
Yeah. Well, even then, like it wasn't like, you didn't have like Victorian strap-ons in ancient Assyria. There wasn't any, like,
actually.
Yeah. There was that.
Actually.
Yeah, there were definitely dildos back then.
Yeah.
Right? But
because we found them.
There's tons in Egypt. And we'll get to Egypt, right? Because we're kind of skipping over Egypt a little bit, but we're going to go back to Egypt.
I'm sorry. I feel like I'm like
No, this is a squirrel. You. This is a squirrel thought kind of conversation. Because like when we get to the laws of Leviticus, it does really, we're in a legal system that does treat women like property, that does talk about children as property. Mm-hmm. And we have a sexual dominance hierarchy. Moving backwards. To show you how weird this is. My God, this episode's going to be all over the place. People are going to, what the fuck is happening? There's usually a narrative.
We usually do timelines. We said, fuck it, we're doing it live.
That's right. So I wrote this for the Pride thing.
Oh, I remember you doing your research on this because I recognize the sheet.
Yeah. So here's a.
I was present for some of this.
Yeah.
Yay.
Here's a cool history fact about ancient Egypt to show how different societies that do not have necessarily a sexual hierarchy in this nature, how different they can be. Now, Egypt does have an amount of sexual hierarchy and gender hierarchy, but that gets mixed up over their very long history. You have women that rule as kings. Mm-hmm. That happens multiple times. So the first recorded relationship, there were definitely relationships before this.
Oh, yeah.
But the first recorded relationship between two men is thought to be found all the way back in ancient Egypt. Khnumhotep and Nyan. Wow, this is so hard to say. There's a lot of K's, a lot of H's.
Yes.
Nyan Khnum, I think is how you say that, were royal manicurists, and that more or less means not they were fixing their nails, but that they were
doing all of the things.
Doing all the
cosmetics, hair.
Yeah. Washing. Yeah. What clothes they were going to wear. More like a personal stylist / everything. There was a lot going on there, right? These were high status individuals. Royal manicurists whose tomb was found in the famous Saqqara Valley. The tomb depicts two men in a manner usually reserved for husband and wife. Images inside the tomb depict two men with their noses touching and their names are joined together above their tomb's entrance. Now, what that name joining is that they put their names very, very close together, and they literally conjoin the spellings.
Mhm.
What the rest of the entrance says is bonded in life, bonded in death.
Aw.
So it's like together forever, right? A lot. So relationships can be complicated. The two men were both married to women and had children with them. What did this mean for them? We may never know. But men in those days were expected to raise children, and the concept of gay marriage is somewhat new, right?
Mhm.
To our current culture, anyways. One thing is for sure: the art in their tomb shares their love for one another to the entire world. So here's the thing about these guys that I found super interesting. The nose touching thing
Mhm.
was the most intimate that you could depict men in ancient tomb art, right? And they had murals and hieroglyphs. There were laws regulating what you could put on those.
Mhm.
This is super intimate. And then on top of that, we have a ton of other information. We know who was the higher in the social status.
Mhm.
We know who was, and therefore who was the bottom in the relationship, because that was dictated by social status. We know that at the time, because of songs, bits of songs and poems that we found in ancient Egypt, that sometimes homosexual relationships were ridiculed, but that they were also fairly common.
Yeah.
Like nobody, like people made fun of it sometimes, but not. It wasn't like crazy. In certain time periods, there might have been laws against it. Some time period, maybe not. There was a lot going on there, but we can tell by the art that and what the inscriptions and all that kind of set, all that stuff in the tomb, that one of them was the direct manicurist to the pharaoh himself,
Oh, wow.
and the other one was to the court. So these were very high status individuals. To have a tomb, and
These guys were like uber privileged.
yeah, they were wealthy. And here's another cool thing. So I told you they were both married, right?
Mhm.
On the inside, there was one depiction where one of the guys is not with the other one, and the wife is depicted.
Mhm.
Someone went in and destroyed that. The wife is removed from the art.
Damn.
Yeah, like chiseled off. And we can only assume that someone who was their friend or maybe one of their relatives or something came in and just destroyed it.
Wow.
Fucking real. Yeah. So it's like the official stance, by the way, of the Egyptian government today of their
Say
archaeology.
Say it.
And they were roommates. And I was like, really, guys? Come on.
And they were roommates.
I want to say it's Chicago, but I watched there was a professor that posted a bunch of slides
Mhm.
that broke down bit by bit why that's not the case.
Oh,
with the art,
yay.
and I was like, man, and it was like old school website, so like somebody got petty with this. They were like,
Damn.
bullshit. And they put the whole thing up, and it's so great. But like looking at it, it's very clear that they were in fact in a relationship that did deal with sexual dynamics, that did deal with gender dynamics. So we know that in the time, in the general region, this kind of thing did exist, and that. So here's my thing about this. I have to wonder, because the Old Testament is kind of filled with a little bit of like, and the Egyptians were bad. You know what I mean? Like,
Let my people go.
yeah.
Also, you suck.
Yeah. So I imagine how much, like, I imagine some of this might have had to do like with the laws of Leviticus and in older, like in Old Testament stuff. When you read through some of the stories, a lot of them are kind of political in nature.
Mhm.
Like Abraham and Isaac has a lot to do with expectations and prophecy and all that kind of stuff, but like not sacrificing your kid on the mountain and to a big flame. A lot of that has to do historically with, we are Jews, not Greeks,
Yeah.
right? Like we're not Minoans, we're not any of that stuff. There's no human sacrifice, none of that kind of shit, right? It's a lot of this is like, these stories are political in nature. So I do have to wonder how much of the laws of Leviticus are in direct answer to what might have been going on in the rest of the world at the time around just like how free relationships could be.
Mhm. Not to jump ahead or anything, but like it shit like this became so taboo that like there's an entire lesbian flower language for the Victorians.
Very Georgia O'Keeffe of them.
Yeah. And like there's also some that falls into like the fan language too.
Oh yeah.
Which is like really niche shit that you may not have come across.
Definitely not. I will gladly hand the mic for that.
It's very cool. It's a very like sly way to get your feelings across by like, sending the girl that you like violets, which would imply that I have romantic feelings for you.
Oh, sure. Now, yeah, that part, I did not know that was also connected to like queer culture.
Oh, yeah.
That's
like,
amazing.
It's like I remember reading, and I did a lot of this research a long time ago. Like I'm talking years ago. And there were instances where like a house would be avoided because they grew X number of like flowers, or not the X variety of flowers, like openly in the garden.
Okay.
And the two like best friend old spinsters.
You didn't want to be scandalized, right?
Yeah.
By visiting the house of the Boston marriage.
Yeah.
I see.
And like the fan language thing came about specifically in like female culture in general, just because, once again, we're dealing with the patriarchy that has been alive and well throughout most of history.
So before we go too far into that,
please, because
when we get to that point in history, that we can stop and be like, connect. You know what I mean? So, so here's the thing, right? Like, flash forward, we're past old Judea and all that kind of stuff. This is before the rise of Christianity, but we're going to keep going into ancient Greece, Minoan civilization.
So we're still dealing in polytheistic civilizations.
Yeah. And well, in this point, specifically, like I guess in Judea, it's now we're moving into mono. But
that's a pretty good indicator of timelines as well.
Yeah, and the Persians are a monotheistic culture as well. They believe in Ahura Mazda, which is not a car. It is the chief deity of. That joke gets made every time I say Ahura Mazda, and then they go, like the car? And I'm like, no.
I want you to know that I'm just nerdy enough that I didn't catch it until about 5 seconds later.
Yeah. So that is the chief deity of Zoroastrianism. Zoroaster is a person, not the main god. And is the Persian religion for the most part, right? Although Persia had that's more in the future, in the height of Greek civilization. The area had tons of different belief systems.
This isn't one of those like brief monotheistic blips in history.
No, this is a long-standing.
Like the Aten in Egypt.
You're right.
Like a singular generation.
Because that's that like one guy. Yeah. It's like, we're going to go monotheistic. I'm the one guy.
We're going to worship the sun and that's it.
Yeah. No. In fact, Zoroastrianism is a current religion.
Really?
Yes.
That's
still
cool.
Plenty of people who follow the teachings of Zoroaster. And
I didn't know that.
No, very cool. In fact, Freddie Mercury's family, I believe, was Zoroastrian.
Wow.
Yeah. So, they're very neat. Actually, Zoroastrianism is a pretty neat religion, and it's still around. They do a really cool thing, or did for a long time. I don't think they do this anymore. But one of the last things, the way that their burial works, is that they would build these pillars, and they would put the buried person on top of the pillars, and expose them to birds.
Oh!
Yeah.
They still do this in there's a place in India that does this.
Yeah, like the towers, right?
Yeah.
And the idea is the last thing you do in life is like one last good deed.
Yeah, you feed yourself back into the the ecosystem. Yeah. And they've built these great like stone vats.
Yeah.
Like they're huge. I've seen them
like,
in space.
The old ones were like ziggurats, right?
Yeah.
People would put the bodies on the top. They have a sacred flame thing going on. It's very cool. But
I just learned about this, like literally yesterday.
Yeah.
By the way, that's why this is so fresh in my mind.
So, and I may be completely wrong about the timelines of when Zoroastrianism becomes the main religion of that area. But that's going to persist until the rise of Islam. It's going to be a major player in the region. So, ancient Greece.
Gay.
Very gay, but in a very, very different way.
Yes.
First off, many, especially Athenians, don't seem to like women very much. That's going to be also a theme in history.
It's weird.
Again, highly patriarchal culture.
Yeah.
So, and I'm making a lot of vagaries here because Greek city-states all had different cultures.
Yes.
But we're going to have over the course of ancient Greece, we're going to have a few pit stops. So first, we'll talk about Athens. Athens, and really this is just about ancient Greece, right? We're talking like Homer's day.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So in the kind of Hellenistic pre-period before you get into Sparta and Thebes and Mycenaeans and all that kind of stuff, right? So they did have what was called pederasty, and that is that older men would have relationships with younger men between 12 and 18, where they would go through a kind of ritualistic abduction. They would go out into the woods and they would like teach them how to be a man, right? While also having a little bit of a sexual nature to it, and the boy was supposed to like not like it, or at least feign to. There was a thing about this. This also happens in Japan at one point in the samurai period, but there was a lot of things about this. First, the father of the boy had to agree to this relationship, so he had to like know the person right off the beginning. So it's kind of implied that this is kind of like a mentor-mentee relationship where you're kind of like also learning about the birds and the bees and such all at the same time.
Hands-on experience.
It's very strange, and not to like knock ancient cultures or anything like that, but obviously it's not super healthy.
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem to be like the kid has any say in this. It just like so. With these relationships, this period in time is not really gonna last super long, because as like ancient society moves on, ancient Greece moves on, you do have the rise of like philosophy and all that other kind of stuff. Like some people don't like this at all, that are gonna buck up against this. I'm making a lot of really vague generalities because we're dealing with a lot of time.
Yeah.
But in this time period, for instance, at the end of this time period, this is where Alexander the Great exists, right? After Sparta, and they have their agoge stuff, and Athens has their stuff. In Thebes, gay men live very openly in pairs that are warriors called bands, and they have the Band of Thebes. Alexander the Great will call them his first great challenge.
Alexander the Great, who kept a gay lover.
That's right. It was they quoted this in the movie. They said after losing a wrestling match to Hephaestion, who's going to be one of his generals, he was never bested. He was never bested again, except for by Hephaestion's thighs. And
listen, who they got to pay Hephaestion? I don't blame him.
It was Jared Leto.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was Colin Farrell and Jared Leto.
No, stop. Hang on.
So here's the thing, right? I love that fucking movie. Yeah, like Rosario Dawson played his wife. Angelina Jolie played his mother.
Olympia.
Yeah, Brad Pitt played King Philip II.
Jonathan Rhys-Meyers was in this movie as Cassander? How do I not remember this?
Sorry, not Brad Pitt. It was Val Kilmer.
Yes.
So anyways, right? So we've got this thing where there's a hierarchy. Because with Hephaestion, Alexander the Great is the son of the king.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and he becomes the king. So, but it's not like ancient Assyria where people are saying like, yeah, he's lesser in status or whatever, but it's not like nobody's being punished for this. Right? And when we're in the Greek period, there's not a punishment.
It's like nobody cares.
Right. It's like a normal thing. In fact, the word gymnasium, like that we get the word gymnasium, the gymnos culture of Greece, the original word for that literally meant train naked, because guys would go in and they would work out and they would learn how to wrestle and all that stuff buck naked. Very gay. Very gay. So like, yeah, Greco-Roman wrestling. If you've ever watched Greco-Roman wrestling and thought, you are correct. Yeah, like
I'm sorry, my mind is still blown that was Jared Leto and I never clocked that.
Yeah. It's great, right?
I just looked him up and he does not look like Jared Leto.
No, yeah, well, this is when he was real young too.
Anyway.
So like
moving on.
But they would do all this, right? They would live in like different things. Like in Sparta, men lived together. They didn't live with their wives. They lived together while they were in service. And the philosophical idea around this was that they needed a culture of like manliness, so that when they went to war, they would be like prepared.
Yeah.
Right. Because they really took combat very, very seriously in that city state. The Band of Thieves was excellent in combat. No one said they weren't. I mean, like everybody who ever fought them said that they were very difficult to deal with.
I would imagine.
And because they trained in pairs, today we call the system Battle Buddy.
Yep.
Right? Like they were on to something. They understood the assignment of training, and they always had someone that was keeping them connected to this, right? And again, most of these men probably had wives, right?
Yeah.
This is a different time. Moving into the Roman period,
also like really closet gay.
A lot of open gay. Again, not a lot of punishments for being gay, although laws about it.
Yeah.
Right? We get, and this is both the case, right? They had a lot of stuff. The Romans are going to criticize the shit out of the Greeks, mostly about the pederasty thing.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Boy lovers.
Yeah. They're going to call them all kinds of shit.
That is a common insult you will find in anything.
Yeah.
That is Romans talking about the Greeks.
Which is why, like, I find the movie 300 so funny, because he's like, you Athenian boy lovers. I was like, bro, you're doing the same thing. Yeah, I was like, you're in Sparta. That's the other thing, right? We talk about Sparta, and we talk, like, our modern understanding of a lot of gay culture, especially from straight culture, is that, like, it's somehow soft or not as tough. Bro, no one invaded Thebes for a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that those two things are not hand in hand. So moving into the Roman culture, the Romans, especially through most of their history, bar none, do not do pederasty.
Yeah.
There are direct laws about freemen. Now, they don't say anything about people enslaved. And in backtracking through most of history, when we're dealing with enslaved people, a lot of these like prohibitions on behavior do not exist.
Yeah.
For men or women.
Well, because that is not a person, that is property.
Exactly. Yeah. And Rome has a very weird, they have multiple kinds of slavery. This is also true of ancient Jerusalem.
Yes.
They have chattel slavery, because chattel slavery does exist in the ancient world. A lot of people try to pretend like that doesn't exist in the Old Testament. There are two kinds of slaves in the Old Testament.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, there's
Don't
chattel,
cherry pick it.
Chattel and debt. This is a most cultures at this time, to the Romans didn't give a shit about skin color at all. What they cared about is if you were Roman. If you were not Roman, you were a barbarian. You know what I mean? Like, only that's how they thought about the world, right? And that's how the Greeks thought about the world. They were the civilized ones. Everybody else was mountain men doing stupid shit.
Funny how that's how everyone perceives themselves. If you are not us, you are below us.
That's right. Yeah, they called the Persians superstitious and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. In the Roman period, when we're talking about free people, kids off the table. We don't do that shit.
Yeah.
Only willing adults. There are a lot of rules about willingness in free people. There's a lot of laws about that are very punishable. But moving into famous people, this is another, like, because it's weird, right? Because we're kind of defining this by a central act, which is not what it is to be gay.
Yeah.
There are people who do not have sex at all and are gay. So, like, that exists, right? We have same-sex ace relationships now.
Correct.
But we're defining it how they would have seen it, which is that, like, male, female is fine. Penetration is the thing that they're focused on. So when we go to ancient Rome, we have people like Emperor Hadrian, who made statues of his lover, went deeply, deeply depressed when he died.
Yep.
I mean, like, Roman history is filled full of male couples. Roman history is filled full of, and Greek history. We didn't even touch on Sappho.
Oh, true.
You know what I mean? Like, Sappho, who may have been writing in kind of a third person kind of way, but Sappho taught a school that was basically like a finishing school for women about to be married.
Yep.
She wrote, like, in one of her poems, she's talking to Aphrodite to help her woo another woman. Like, very direct. You know what I mean? Like, and they were roommates. Like, you still see that with
No,
her.
they fucking.
Yeah, like, she was very clearly down bad for this woman. And, like,
Honestly, sis, get it.
you know what I mean? Like, you're just like, all right, okay. And then people still do this thing where they're like, well, that's not really what she meant. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what she meant.
Like, listen, like those particular psalms in the Bible, they fucking.
Yeah. You have the legs of a gazelle. I was like, yeah, he's saying she got long, nice legs. That's what he's saying. So
Gasp.
yeah. So here's where I'm going to get a little tricky. This is where a lot of people will say the rise of Christianity sees homosexual relationships be very unpopular in Rome. It actually starts before then.
Really?
Christianity has this kind of slow move into Rome. By the time Constantine the Great accepts Christianity, it is already a very large amount. There's a very large amount of Romans who are Christian, right? It moves in. It just moves in, right? But the some of the ways of seeing things have already kind of arrived well before that point. Because Rome isn't one religion. It's a ton of religions. A lot of them have to do with the same gods, but there's tons of cults. There's all kinds of stuff. And a lot of religions deal with, like, sexual purity. And so, yeah.
I mean, you could, but why would you want to?
Yeah, we are in the days where syphilis does not exist.
Yeah.
And they have a plant that keeps you from having a baby. And
that
I think
is extinct now.
Yeah, there was this thing where somebody said they found it, and apparently that's not true, or it doesn't do the same thing. Acidophilus, is that what it was called?
Well, acidophilus is a probiotic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's the bacteria in yogurt.
Yeah, Activia, is that what it's called? By the time that Christianity moves in, and Christianity is an Abrahamic religion. We touched on Leviticus a little while ago. That's going to come back with teeth.
Fresh off the print, too.
Yeah, so they are going to take things a lot more seriously than I think what is now the Jewish, like, diaspora, because by the end of the Roman, at some point the Romans are going to sack Jerusalem and kind of scatter the Jewish people, and their religious philosophy is going to change heavily over the given years, like all the way into the Renaissance period. They're going to reform. They're going to go through esoteric phases. They're going to have other books. They're going to have a series of massive arguments that are legally based called the Talmud. So, like,
I'm passingly familiar with it.
Judaism has to reconcile with itself. Something has gone terribly wrong. We had a holy city given to us by God. We had all these rules, and then we got our ass handed to us. Right? Like,
yeah.
By the world's biggest war machine. And you gotta come to terms with that. What does that even mean for your religion? All that kind of stuff. That's going to change a lot of people's views on a lot of things, not necessarily to same-sex relationships, but in how hardline they are in a lot of communities.
Why they got to clap back against people getting down in the bedroom? For what?
It's always a thing.
For what?
So, moving into Rome, they don't really have that, but Christianity comes in with kind of a vague understanding of Jewish, because most of these people are not Jewish, right? Most of these people are new converts, or they've been converts to, like, the original Christianity, and they have all kinds of different ideas about sexuality and what the book says, and they also don't have a Bible. They have a ton of different books, because we haven't hit the Nicene Council in the very beginning of Christianity coming in. So there is no Bible. There's just a bunch of books. There are competing versions of Christianity, and we still have, in this time period, evidence of same-sex relationships. Although now we're moving into a time period where they're definitely criticized a lot more. Again, Katie's mouthing, why? Who knows? I mentioned all that stuff about sin and all that kind of stuff. Essentially, if you believe that what's in this book is 100% true, or at least your interpretation of this book is 100% true, then you believe that it, especially since it's kind of explicitly worded that sexual domination of another man is a blasphemy of sorts, then you get really excited about stopping that thing.
I maintain that some of these lawmakers got jilted by whatever dude for another guy and is like, all right, fine. If I can't have you, absolutely no one can have you. And now it's punishable by death.
Hellfire.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Frollo, you bastard.
It's giving Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And I need you to calm down, sir.
Ironically,
to this day, one of the best villain songs.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
It's such a good movie. All right, so moving into the future, this is where we start seeing the first like real shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the Roman period all the way until like the medieval period. There's plenty of evidence. People writing songs, people like we just got evidence of like
being in love.
Yeah.
With people of the same gender.
And there's a thing that happens that like if somebody makes a joke, makes a law, criticizes someone about their sexuality, we know that it was common enough to spot. Right?
Yeah.
So we have like jokes about Edward Longshank's son being gay. This is during like the William Wallace era. Like even if you've seen the movie Braveheart, there's this one son who's very, very flamboyant.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you would say that about him, then it's common enough for you to make the joke.
Yeah.
So like just that being in and of itself, right? We also have all kinds of stuff. This is some cool stuff where we start to get into men recognizing very openly that like women have sexuality, right? The French have now a word for the female orgasm. Hildegard of Bingen in the like medieval period, quote unquote, is going to go around giving lectures about how orgasms happen and how like this is a person in the church and what she thinks that is.
Also, Hildegard.
She's amazing, right?
Yeah.
She's probably a genius. And then also like she describes them as a heat that starts in the brain and then because they don't have science, right? To receive the man's seed, that heat moves down in her body.
This is the first time I've ever heard this.
It's amazing.
I'm like aware of it dimly, but I've never like read it.
It's so great. Dude, you gotta, after this, you should look it up because it's so funny because it's
Please
like.
help me remember.
Remember, this is supposed to be like a nun. And so she's like never had sex, quote unquote. But she's describing, I was like, okay, you've never had, right. So intimately.
Who are you lying to? What's her name? What's his name?
Right. Because that's the thing. She also like describes it directly as related to a man. Now, it might just be that she's smart and knows to couch in certain language. Here's what we do know, though, right? Many, many gay historians will talk about this, that early monasteries become a haven for homosexuals.
Yes.
Right? So like you start seeing that.
Dude, especially convents.
Yes.
Especially convents.
A room with nothing but women? Yeah, right?
Let me tell you.
If you're a guy, it's like, you mean there's a whole order where you can go and there's like nothing but other dudes that aren't married and aren't having sex with women.
Le gasp.
Right. Like, and this becomes like, we talk about this openly when we get into like the 1950s around like the movie Conclave, right? There was a lot of gay men in the Catholic Church, and we know this for sure. We're glossing over hundreds of years, right? We're moving very, very fast.
And the thing that gets me about this is that it's so like, so scandalous, so frowned upon, so illegal at some points, and yet, there are pockets of society where it's just kind of like accepted. That's how they are. Oh, Duke so-and-so's son of such and such prefers the company of men.
Right. Mostly the people who get away with it in Europe, at least, because mostly we're talking about Europe and like the Near East, are the wealthy.
Yeah.
If you have might of arms or enough money, you can live freely. If you don't, you're subject to the mob, right? Yeah. Like that's just kind of how that works. Not all the time, though, because in the medieval period, in the early Renaissance, rather, we have, we know because of historical records that there are a lot of people of nobility who are executed for same-sex relationships. Because this is where we start getting into, with the rise of Christianity, we start getting into the point of like witch burnings.
Yeah.
Which also affect gay men. And
well, yeah, not all of the people that were burned as witches were women.
Right. A lot of them were just dudes that got caught in bed. And, like, that sucks. It's horrible. But, like, tortures and killings, though rare, like, to be honest, like, execution was not as common as people think it was. But it did happen.
I did an entire episode on the Pendle witch trials.
Yeah. And moving into the Renaissance period, cities are far more densely packed, right? One of the reasons that the Renaissance even happens, never mind the Crusaders bringing back stuff, trade routes opening up, new discoveries of technology, all the things that caused the Renaissance to happen. Mostly, like, especially in the German high Renaissance, the printing press is a big fucking thing that's going to launch the world even further than the Renaissance. And we haven't really glossed on this, but we haven't really touched on this, but I do want to go back to say that in the rest of the world, ancient China has a lot of gay people in it.
Oh,
Are they criticized? Yes, but there's, like, artwork in the Wei period.
We talked about this like 2 weeks ago. Cut sleeves.
Oh yeah, in Japan.
Yeah.
Well, which ones? Because cut sleeves mean marriage in certain
gay.
That's Chinese thing.
Yeah, that was Chinese, because that was the emperor who loved his lover so much that he didn't want to wake him, so he cut his sleeve.
Yeah, like romantic shit, right? The Duke of Wei had a lover. He had a wife, and there's a piece of artwork where there's a woman spying on the Duke of Wei and his lover, and she's got this very mischievous smile on her face.
Miss Ma'am.
It's the best, right? Because you look at that and go, yeah, like, people.
This isn't new. Yeah.
Things like, we have these conversations about things like polyamory. That is not new.
No, not at all.
Yeah, like,
look at any and all ancient cultures.
Yeah, at some point you develop a class where people are like, yeah, we're married and go do your thing.
Yeah.
And the line for most of them was, don't have, like, kids everywhere.
Yeah.
That seemed to be the thing, right? But in old, like, Paleolithic, Neolithic period, people just kind of had kids.
Yeah.
There was no, like, you have this kind of, like, there's a word for it, but it's matriarchal culture, but it's also everyone's mother is everyone's mother. Mm-hmm. Everyone's father is everyone's father. And that works very well. And so, like,
it's the concept of it takes a village.
Yeah. You still have this in many semi-nomadic peoples.
Yeah.
In North America and South America, same-sex relationships amongst not every national group, but in many nations, you have two-spirit people. So we have trans people. We have non-binary or third-sex people in India. Mm-hmm. In North America, we have same-sex relationships. We have poems in China that describe, like, same-sex relationships. We've got artwork in the pre-Islamic world that shows this. Not necessarily dealing with sexual penetration, but dealing with romantic love. Mm-hmm. So, like, the rest of the world's moving around. My purview is more Europe. I don't feel super free to talk about other cultures that I don't know a lot about. Mm-hmm. So
I get you.
I let them do their thing. Also, though, this is right around this time when we start getting into, like, the Renaissance period, where we've already established that we have had the rise of Islam. And Islam does have a lot of rules. It's another Abrahamic religion. It has a lot of rules about this. It's going to continue to have a lot of rules about this, along with Christianity. Post this point, now that we're, like, in the Renaissance, artists like Da Vinci are putting their boyfriends on things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gay. There's a lot of gay going around, and people don't talk about it. They are aware of it.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's known. It's just kind of accepted and moved on. Like, it's side-eyed a little bit, but that's it.
Yeah, and unless you end up in a legal suit, you're probably not right. Things are happening.
Like, you can bring charges against someone for sodomy.
Yeah,
but, like, you have to prove it.
You got to prove it,
and to prove it, that means that you typically have to admit that you were the bottom.
Yeah, or at least in a time period where it really matters, where you go, a lot of courts in the medieval and Renaissance period are ecclesiastical. Mm-hmm. And so, like, the church is involved.
Yeah.
Right? This is true of, like, parts of Rome as well. It's like Christian Rome it's ecclesiastical in nature. So you not only have the law, you have the church. When you're swearing an oath, you are swearing an oath.
Yeah, you are condemning your soul if you're lying.
Yeah, so people are a little more sketchy about just throwing mud, you know?
Yeah.
Because they really believe. And like, you don't just go slinging mud everywhere. We also have like courtesan culture,
Mhm.
you know, into the Renaissance, and things are getting a little more, let's say, exciting. So, you know what I mean? Like, people are discovering how to do different things. This goes all the way back to the medieval period, but like, you know, things like cunnilingus are going to be a thing. And like, medieval and Renaissance Europe and France and everywhere else. So things are becoming more modern ever so slowly because we're dealing with hundreds of years. Post Renaissance, the age of exploration. This is where we have another blurb.
Yes.
Let's start by saying that when Cristobal Colombo, or Christopher Columbus for most of us Americans, real piece of shit,
Yes.
shows up in America, South America, and what he calls the West Indies, or what we would call the Bahamas and all the Caribbean islands. They describe that people are a lot more free.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're not dealing with Abrahamic religions. They're not dealing with the Western societal culture or Eastern or Mid-Eastern societal culture. And so people have some same-sex relationships. People have like what we would describe as multifamily relationships. Everybody's it's a village, right?
Yeah.
People do have some semblance of like a marriage, but they are also a lot more free about that. So, and we don't know how much is just his like slander. We don't really know, right? But
considering how much of a piece of shit he was,
right? He's a real fucking monster. So, but when they move into South America, around the empires that exist in those spaces, they have more codified laws, all that kind of stuff. People are a lot more serious about like property lines, but still, just a different society. You've got women who are in power as far as religious figures. You've got all that kind of stuff, right? And sometimes they don't even know how to deal with this. They're rewriting back in ways that we don't really know if they're true or not, because they may not recognize what they're seeing. But I'm going to read something real quick. This is about, well, I'll just read it. LGBTQ people have always been around. Because of the laws and beliefs of the past, many queer people hid their relationships. This means that a lot of queer history is either lost or hidden. Unfortunately, that's very true, right? The first laws regulating queer people in America appear in Dale's Code, a collection of laws enforced at Jamestown Colony between 1610 and 1618. These codes were largely a copy of English laws at the time. So think about, like, if those laws are in a colony, but we can kind of pull from that, and also because we have the records that these laws also existed, what were called like anti-buggery laws already existed in England and in most of Europe. So if you have a law against something, it is happening, right? I'm saying all this shit because there are people who, to this day, right now in the world, who are going like, well, it's because society's gotten so free. That's why we have more gay people. No.
They've been here since the beginning.
Yep. You just been trying to kill them the whole time. But probably 10% of the human population at any time is gay, bi, trans, lesbian, something.
Yeah.
Right? Never mind Q. Right?
Right. Yes.
Getting into alternative sexualities, and that's where we're really going to move into your bailiwick. Because when we get into like England in the Victorian age.
Oh boy.
Or really in the Western expansion period.
Oh boy.
And any time where we start getting into things like BDSM or any like alternative sexuality at all, right? Like definitely ace people have always existed.
Oh yeah.
That shit is crazy. When people say that ace people don't exist, you're just like, yeah, but it's not doing something. Like,
bro, I promise you.
People who don't do things have always existed. Like, that's crazy. It's a crazy thing to think that this stuff has not existed.
I maintain that like monasteries were founded by ace people.
Yeah. I leave the game.
Fuck this.
Especially if
literally fuck this shit. I'm out.
Especially if you're a young ace woman. Yeah, fuck this. I'm out.
I don't want to play
for me.
The marriage games. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to go live in a stone building where no one will bother me and I will make lace until I'm blind.
Yep. A room where all I do is sit around and read books. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know 2 ace people that is their damn dream. Live in a castle and read books. Like that's that's the thing.
I don't necessarily want to go blind, but I do want to make lace.
Yeah.
Proper lighting, please.
So right. So where were we? Anyways, we were in,
we were just leaving the Renaissance period.
Just leaving the Renaissance. Right. Age of exploration.
Yes.
You've got all of these exciting religious radicals that are going all over the place. And this is where we start really entering into, I would say, is a true like extremist period in religions, right? Because like religion in itself is,
well, I mean, if we're moving into the colonies.
Yeah. And we've got in Europe, we've got like the Huguenot movements and all that other stuff that people are going to go really crazy about. There's going to be killings.
Got some nut bars that founded over here.
Yeah, there's a lot of real crazy folks.
Like, damn.
The Quakers used to run into town screaming. The Quakers are the best, dude. They're
Quakers
still
are so chill now.
Yeah. For people who used to run into towns like Puritan towns, banging pots and pans and screaming gospels, they used to be so wild.
Dude, I spent the longest time with beef against the Puritans. And don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of beef there. But like, goddamn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all were so repressed.
And what's crazy, like even
why are you frightened of an orgasm?
Right.
Why are you scared?
The whole thing is just so the whole thing. And then you see in a lot of like artwork and writing from the time that they seem to be very, very worried. Because this is really kind of where like racism starts. Because we've got slavery, right? We've got slavery that's come back in a very specific kind of way. As we move even further past this and we start getting into like the transcontinental, like the triangle, the slave trade triangle to West Africa, and what constitutes slavery is no longer people who are indebted in your society or people who are born into your society, but a very specific group of people. Yeah.
And that is wrong.
Yeah. Terrible and horrible. And you start seeing writing that's like when you deal with alternate sexualities of any form, that's not like the quote unquote norm, right? That's when you start seeing people like blame other people for it, right? It's foreign influence and people start to treat it as though it is, instead of being sinful or just not allowed by God, that it's somehow like dirty or animalistic. And so and this is always the case, that the people who are like the loudest decriers of a lot of things are often also doing it. Right. So we see this with like prostitution laws.
Oh, yes.
And so, and then we know what's going on by some of these laws where people say like, well, you can't sleep with black women. And it's like, well, then people are sleeping with black women. Right. Like that's what's going on here. And probably not willingly. Yeah. So, but that in the same time period of like early American colonies, they're also trying to make laws against like dealing with native indigenous people. Like you're not allowed to marry them. You're not allowed to go off and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's a better deal. Quite frankly, for many people in society, integrating into a tribal nation is a better deal. You're not an indentured bondsman. You don't have to, dress in this weird
organized religion drives me crazy, and it always has. Like even as the kid in Sunday school, my uncle teaching the class, my family very big in the church, I'm just irritated the whole time because like I'm 7, 8, 9, 10 already clocking the hypocrisy.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so but moving on, this is where we start getting good news.
Yes.
We've passed the hump. Because they never did.
And that was part of the fucking problem.
Yeah. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah. My God.
Please go get laid.
For real. We had little brief offshoots of like guys that were, that people were just having sex. Like the early, like ecstatic. We talked about this with Rasputin.
Yeah.
It's like ecstatic movement.
Yeah.
Right. You had like the flagellants. But the problem with them is
passionlessness.
They were also usually crazy anti-Semitic, like the flagellant movement in Germany. They were a little more free with things to the point, but also to the point to where like the crown sent in knights to kill them all because they were becoming a bit of a nuisance. But going into past this period, right, where the colonies start to become a thing,
Mm-hmm.
getting new ideas to them.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The age of enlightenment has started to move around. People got fancy ideas. Benjamin Franklin he's fucking.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes. Him.
Yeah.
Yes.
That, like people are moving around. This kind of imperial age, and then the age of enlightenment, it's going to happen later, is way more free. You know this from from French stuff, definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Men have male lovers, women have lovers, people are having lovers. And it's in tabloids, which might be gossip, but probably it's true enough, right? That this is more in the open. People are more. In fact, from this time period, there was a spy that's going to work for the French crown, whose name is escaping at the moment, but you definitely look this up. They had themselves legally, as part of their payment for their service to the crown, declared a woman. They were born male. This is one of our first things of legal transition. Wow. This is going to happen during the French crown, right? This is like around the Sun King's time.
Oh.
Right, yeah, early.
Louis was getting up to some shit, too.
He was also getting up to some shit. Yeah.
Louis and his brother both. His brother who regularly wore dresses.
Yep. And that's the thing, right? Like we're getting into a time to where people are kind of romantic.
Yeah.
In that they're writing novels for the first time. Like they're writing things that are not strictly like fact-based writing.
Yeah.
We have music that is designed to make you feel something other than just faith.
Mm-hmm.
We have something like books that are like in France, we have penny gossip columns.
Yes.
We've got all that good shit, right?
England, we're coming up on the Penny Dreadfuls.
Right. And really neat stuff. We've got philosophy that is questioning the nature of things. We have things like pantheism that are coming about, where maybe just the universe in and of itself is divine and we don't necessarily need a godhead figure. That kind of stuff.
Blasphemy.
Yeah. Real fucking get them. You're right. Like, so, but,
heresy.
Yeah. In the 1700s, things are really fucking shaken. And people are starting they still have buggery laws and all that kind of stuff, but people are starting to not care as much.
Yes.
They're just kind of ignoring it.
Like the buggery laws kind of stay in effect as a way to take someone down a peg.
Yeah.
Like it becomes less social death, or in some cases, actual death.
Yeah.
And more along the lines of like it can be used to kind of like publicly shame you for a bit.
Yeah, it is on par with someone who abandons their wife.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to have to leave town now. You know, right? Like that's more or less what you might be jailed or fined, and unfortunately, in many parts of the world, still killed.
Yeah.
But we're getting better. When we get into around Napoleon's time, we have the Napoleonic Codes of Law.
Mm-hmm.
And the Napoleonic Codes of Law don't have anything about same-sex relationships.
Nope.
And this gets kind of exported because Napoleon gets kind of slandered a bit, right? Because most of our history is from the British point of view.
Yes.
So, like, Napoleon was definitely a dictator, right? But when you compare him to kings,
and a philandering motherfucker.
Yeah, he was a lot wilder than. But also, when you compare him to like many of the kings of the day, on par, if not better.
Yeah.
Right. So when getting into that, that's a big deal. The Napoleonic Code thing going around and not really having a lot of criminality for same-sex relationships, and that code getting exported as his empire moves around, but also as just a good codified rule of law is passed around. All across Europe, you start seeing people kind of ignore this. It might be a regional thing, but it's not what it was. And mainly this happens because we've entered an age where the church does not have that much power. Over across the pond in America, at some point, we're going to hit the westward expansion. And that's when we really get a lot of stuff going down. During and post-Civil War, you have a lot of men headed out, moving across the plains, sometimes with their family, but mostly, like in the cattle culture, just men, right? You've got a bunch of just dudes. And that is appealing to a lot of other just dudes.
And they made a whole movie about that.
That's right. So you start having dance halls, for instance, that are just men. And we have photos of this. We have like tintype photos of men just dancing with other men. They're bored. But the thing that many gay historians, queer historians, have noted is that, like, yeah, if you're a gay man in this time period, and somebody told you that there were whole towns, again, like the church thing, whole towns, no women, it's like, like this is a prime opportunity, right? Like, and I don't mean that in any kind of like predatory sense. I'm just saying that being gay is way more common. And if you are gay and you know what to look for, you know this, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so you and other men might go out, right? And then we start having cowboy like marriages. We have people who share property. We have photos where guys are taking photos together that are definitely in long-standing, stable relationships. This is also where we get a lot of early trans women that are going out into properties like Oklahoma and a couple other places in the kind of like mid-expansion period, living as women their whole lives. In the West Coast, we'll have famous people like Charlie Parker, who are stagecoach drivers and fucking fight people and like drink all the time. And they won't even know that some of these people are trans until they die. They'll live their entire lives very open and very free. There are laws against this.
That autopsy, though.
Yeah.
Shocking.
And like a couple of these people get fined and thrown in jail, and they're like, we're going to put you in solitary unless you wear your proper clothing. And they're like, fuck you, I'll go to solitary. And it's treated as kind of like a curiosity in the newspapers. Like when people get arrested for this, they're like, that lady's wearing pants. You know what I mean? Like that's how they look at it. It's kind of like funny to a degree, but it doesn't really seem to fucking matter to any. There's laws about it. The cops care. Doesn't seem like anybody else gives a shit. That's just how what's going on. This time period. We also have women who are becoming academic.
Yes.
In the 1800s, as they move in, they prefer not to get married and to pursue their careers. And many women, this lifestyle very much appeals to, because women are getting together and they're renting a house and they're owning property together. This will be referred to as a Boston marriage. Mm-hmm. And young women who are getting their eyes opened for the first time, right? They're looking up and they're going like, oh, you mean this is now fully possible. I can pursue a career. I can live with another woman. We can own property and have a life together. You mentioned this earlier with the flowers.
Yes.
Right? This will become a thing. So common that sometimes around school towns that some people call this a Harvard marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's everywhere. Later on, it's going to be a fucking gay panic about this, where people are going, oh no, my daughters. The thing especially about the Harvard / Boston marriage is that because there's no like kids involved, you know what I mean? Like the panics are kind of short lived. So, but oh no, your daughter's gonna go teach at Yale or something. You know what I mean?
Oh no, your daughter's living with another woman.
Yeah, it becomes a panic for a little while, and there's ordinance passed about all this kind of stuff. But we're approaching the mid 1800s, and like from the 1800s to the 1900s, you have burlesque shows, and you have big cities popping up. And with that comes pocket communities where people can find each other. And this is true in Europe as well. You start having salons that very much cater to, to people who might be looking for something outside of a straight relationship. You have, moving into the 1800s, I mentioned this. I was going to pass the mic to you about all the stuff that happens in Victorian England.
Oh, boy.
She's eating chips.
Mouthful of Cheetos. Mouthful of fucking Cheetos.
It's not easy being cheesy, guys.
I'm hungry. I spent all morning prepping for dinner and then forgot to eat. All right, so in the 1800s, specifically in England, gay culture is kind of this weirdly sort of ignored and accepted thing. Like, it's kind of everybody just kind of looks the other way. Like, you'll find it a lot, especially in like high profile marriages, where like so-and-so's son prefers the company of men, but he's gotten married to a lavender marriage.
A lavender marriage, right.
And
by the flower code that you were talking about earlier.
I'll have to check on that one. I only know a few of the flower code things. I just thought it was super cool. He and his friend will often go on trips and such, leaving his wife with every luxury and her own goddamn time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of sought after. Like you would see it a lot in like the courtship phase, I guess. Like where the potential husband and wife pair would meet and talk.
Right.
And there are recorded instances where like she would ask kind of probing questions about his friends, trying to ascertain if he's got one of those friends.
I can see that though, because that would offer a lot of freedom.
Yes.
In a time period where women still could not really own a lot, or like a lot of times own bank accounts or anything like that. A lot of financial freedom comes from having a house all to yourself, and
often there I don't want to say a lot of recorded instances, but there are many recorded instances of these being like almost ideal matches, like because you would get to be friends with your husband,
right,
as opposed to just being his wife.
This is I guess not so much in a strictly gay lesbian way, but like Lord Byron and Percy Shelley, and
yeah,
I mean they were all the whole. I mean, all of them, and the butler and everyone.
Yeah,
I mean, like that's
like I don't know. It became this sort of like unspoken thing of, oh, is your husband? And then, you could proudly say, oh, he and his friend.
Right.
And meaning that you had all of the freedom and financial backing in the world to do whatever the hell you wanted.
Right.
Well, okay, I say that. I'm generalizing. But
right. But if you were from an upper class family
Yeah.
where this person had money, you didn't have a ton of kids, you now had like a nightlife.
Yeah. And like I can only imagine how awkward some of those situations had to be when like it was time to produce an heir for the family.
Yeah, no joke. Because you're gonna have to, or else,
Yeah.
like, especially in a kingdom where it could go back to the crown or to a tax collector or whatever.
Yeah. And like we've seen historically that like, most of these couples figured it out somehow.
Yeah, sure.
Somehow.
Bottles of brandy, probably.
Bottles of brandy, probably threesomes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe foursomes.
Again.
Or they just
Percy
had a
Shelley.
stud.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that was common enough that it wasn't talked about, so it's kind of a mystery now. So, and then from there, like, women have to be a little more like on the DL about it, like sly.
Yeah.
So that's not how flower languages came about, but they definitely used the flower language. Because, like, you could send a bouquet to someone, and it would be looking at the flowers. You would be able to tell them, "I'm so sorry for your loss," or these are my sympathies for you," or "I'm thinking about you."
Mm.
It could be a perfectly platonic flower arrangement being sent to X person, and nobody would think anything about it because you're being social.
Right.
However, you send us a particular combination of flowers. And people that are in the know that you're down bad for that person. And hopefully, if you're lucky, that person understands that you are down bad for them.
You know what? I like, too, that you touched on this, on platonic relationships, and I can't even believe I didn't think to remember that. But that the Greeks had a bunch of different kind of love.
Yeah.
And that in the time period of, like, Victorian England, they were, like, fucking really into classical restoration.
Mm-hmm.
And you start getting that like romance period.
Well, that's something that's always fascinated me, especially with like human cultures in general, is that there are romantic loves and there are platonic loves. And we see a lot in English. Ooh, look at me using my degree. We see a lot in English literature where you will have language that to us, to our modern ear, sounds romantic between party A and party B. And you'll read like a letter to them or something they have written in their honor for them, and you'll think, "Are y'all fucking?"
Right, like the use of words like darling and
Yeah.
my lovely heart and stuff
Mine
like
own
that.
darling
Yeah.
is a common one, and that is largely used romantically, but it can also be exchanged platonically.
Right.
Like you have very deep, very meaningful friendships that are platonic. But they have a lot of that flowery romantic language thrown in there, especially with letters.
Right. I mean, even you see this with soldiers a lot
Mhm.
because take note, men. Men were not like afraid to tell each other that they loved them.
Yes.
That was like a common thing where just like
I
people
do
who had been
appreciate
through
that
shit.
that's something in our friend group that, like, I have noticed that the majority of the people in our friend group are dudes.
Yeah.
And I have heard "I love you, man" thrown so casually across the room. So I want to shout out to our particular friend group that I appreciate you guys being like particularly cool about that. Now, granted, that "I love you, man" will also be accompanied with a great big middle finger in your face.
Yeah.
But dudes will be dudes.
But also especially like because we do a lot of stuff like we fence and we
Yeah.
role play together as far as like D&D and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And well, that could have gone to a joke really fast.
I'm so glad that you clarified on that because
I
I was
saw that
gonna
smirk.
let it hang
I
for a
saw
second.
that smart. You just went, and I was like, not like that.
Do you now? No, we but there's video game nights in our particular circle of friends. Like Wednesday nights specifically are Helldivers night.
Yeah.
And I like to not to beat a dead horse or anything, but I will hear these guys on Discord while I'm playing Minecraft, and they're just in the game. They are role playing in the game. It's really funny.
Awesome.
But like at the somebody will blow somebody else up and like, oh fuck you, you asshole. I love you. And it's great. How did we get here?
We were
Flower language?
We were talking about flower language and about all the cool Victorian
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Fan code. So women in particular could communicate across rooms with a fan by holding it different ways at various angles, snapping one shut, or opening one at particular times in the conversation. And it was literal code that, like, you could either be talking to your girlfriend or you could be talking to your girlfriends. Like, across the goddamn room.
I 100% like, you want to hear something really funny?
Yes.
So we do have some information about men doing this.
That's so awesome.
So specifically naval men.
Oh, yeah. That tracks.
Because flags.
Yep.
Yeah, like they have their own sense or flash code, where you take the lantern. Not Morse code, but their own personal, like whatever they're used to signaling about stuff. But that like card sharks and shit will do this. And like, they have a kind of language, and like it's great. It's so awesome.
The Victorian period is so not only repressed, but it's also very, very cool in the ways that people found to get around it. I'm all over the place, as is my accent.
Sometimes she just breaks out. Meow, see? Like,
occasionally, yes. But I don't know. The Regency period got really, 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 really repressed. Like,
oddly more so than like the Victorians, because one of the things that I remember reading about Victorian England is that this is kind of like the rise of queer culture, where you start just having different stuff, like fetishes become a thing.
Yes, and also it was one of the last time periods where men could like dress flamboyantly without catching an eyebrow.
The dandies.
Yeah. And, and that breaks my heart because one motherfucker is responsible for all of men's fashion being so boring
and
forever.
And he didn't even try.
Yeah, he didn't even do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Ugh.
He was just like, a man should, like, his very specific style of man, who he meant in a specific social class and place.
So boring, so austere, so dull.
Yeah.
I would love to give men puce back.
Also, quick side note, because we were in the 1800s, Abraham Lincoln, probably gay.
Oh, yeah. At the very least, bisexual.
For real.
Very least.
And one other president as well. So, like, that's a whole thing, right? Again, way more common than people keep saying.
Yeah, like it's not fucking new.
It's not at all. At all. And then...
Also, there's no reason that you need to be frightened of it.
Right. some of the
Ain't no reason.
Some of the coolest fucking people in history. Alexander the Great, we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, literally spread Greek education all over the world.
One of the most badass motherfuckers to ever live.
Yeah. But definitely, like, Lincoln's letters are very, like, and the argument.
Once again, talking about that flowery language, where, like, there is flowery language, and then there is, you are in love with that man.
Right. Yeah, like, it's deeply personal. It's
my
like,
guy.
He goes down to the South and he sees slavery for the first time in person, like in chattel mass farm plantation culture, right? And he's writing to the guy that he lived in a log cabin with and for a long time. And he's like, I can't reconcile the man I know with what I saw. Like, it really breaks him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and sets him on the path to what he will eventually become. And also, his personal bodyguard slept in the same bed with him. You know, like, so. When people are like, when people like argue against me on that, I'm like, look, man, like,
sometimes you just need your emotional support bodyguard.
Yeah, and that's great to me. You know, like this guy was also a prize fighter.
Yeah, Lincoln could have knocked your ass out.
Yeah, and was an expert marksman. Signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Drove his wife insane. Like,
well, she was
already kind of crazy.
Listen, I hate to use hysterical, but
she was an interesting person. But he, you know, like, some of these people are some of the coolest, most interesting people, and I think it's great, like, to visit these histories and go, like, we started with, here's how things kind of suck and where these dumb laws came up. By the way, here in America, we had this dumb law about what you could do in your bedroom, and a lot of states had this law all the way until the late 1900s.
Yep.
Where a case, it was called Lawrence v. Texas.
Mm-hmm. I knew exactly where you were going with this the second you got started. Started
in Houston, Texas. Cops were called by Lawrence's ex-boyfriend, who said that there was a guy in the apartment with catty bitch. Called because he was like, there's a person in that apartment with a gun. Cops came in, kicked the door in, found the two guys in bed, arrested them, fined them. Then they fought it.
As they should have.
As they should have. They lost the initial case. But then they appealed it, and then it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, where it was determined that, like, part of the 14th and some different understandings of the amendments said that what happens in the privacy of their own home is their own fucking business, and you should not care about that. Go away.
Don't we still have laws in effect that limit the number of toys you can have?
In some places, yeah. It's like I want to say it's like
why do you care?
Yeah.
Why do you care?
Like they treat it like it's drugs. It's like, if you have more than an inch, that, you know,
bro.
You know, like, if you
I
have
need to
more
introduce
than an ounce,
all of you lawmakers to belladonna, and not the poison,
not
the porn star.
The porn star.
First of all, she's gorgeous. Second of all, wow.
But, like, it's like the ounce of weed thing. It's like, more than that, it's an intent to sell. It's like, what do you think if I have more than 6 toys?
First of all, there's a whole website that all of y'all just gonna stroke out if you ever see.
Fucking bad dragon.
Yup.
Yeah. What is that? A kraken.
That's Charlie. Charlie's a horse.
It's a unicorn.
It's a magical leopard. They're gonna take us away.
People are going to listen to this like, what the fuck is wrong with these people?
Are they high this episode? No, we're both exhausted.
Oh, man. So moving into the modern era, right? Even the 1900s. In 1906, we live in Texas, right? 1906, San Antonio gets its first official drag show.
Yeah.
In 1906, right? In New York, you're going to have the rise of drag entertainment. You're also, and this is before even ballroom culture, because at this point it's different. It's like vaudeville, right? You don't have drag as you know it today. You have different culture.
the thing that drives me nuts about the stigma against drag is how long was all of theater predominantly male?
Oh, forever. Like Shakespeare was all men.
All men, even playing the female parts. All men.
Yeah.
Why are you so scared of drag now?
Dude, well, because
is it the sequins?
They imagine it, though, as inherently sexual. When, in fact, it is just cosplay.
It's
you know what I mean?
It's expression.
Yeah. It's...
You think they're doing that death drop because they're trying to show off the what, their thighs?
Right. Yeah, they're way more worried about not banging their head on the way down. You know
or
what I mean?
ripping the tape.
Yeah. Oh, God. But, like...
I learned to do makeup from drag queens.
Yeah.
Like, that is... I maintain to this day, that is why I have any level of skill at all. Is because I learned hard mode to start with.
Yeah, and all the contouring that goes into that.
Contouring, color correction. There is an artistry to it that is inherent in anyone in that industry. Like, to be in that industry for it successfully for any length of time, you must be the best of the best of the best of the best.
We're now into like the modern era where all of these laws are being actively fought. There's a photo that I watched at one point where it's this is before transgender was really known as a term to most people, so they use different terms.
Transsexual.
Yeah, or they would sometimes in newspapers say like a man living as a woman or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And that kind of persists until like the 40s. And then in the 40s they still use words like transvestite or transsexual, but I have another note.
Ooh.
Kristen Jorgensen is most widely known as one of the first people in America to receive gender-affirming surgery. From an early age, Jorgensen was tormented by feelings of being a woman trapped in a man's body. With the announcement of her transformation in 1952, she became an instant celebrity. Jorgensen served in the U.S. Army from 1945 to 1946. During, of course, World War II, Jorgensen lived comfortably on the proceeds of her lecture and nightclub circuit. From royalties from her book, Kristen Jorgensen, A Personal Autobiography, which was adapted into a film, the Kristen Jorgensen story. Of course, Kristen Jorgensen wasn't the only famous trans woman in her day. Roberta Cowell, a former race car driver who served as a fighter pilot in World War II, was Britain's... Yeah. Yeah, these girls are awesome, right?
Yeah.
Was Britain's first woman to receive gender-affirming care. And then, of course, there's the very famous Dutch girl.
Oh, yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
In the Institute of Sexology, all that stuff that goes back to like the 30s. Because now we have science. Like real science. Like not the burgeoning science, but we've got...
To quote Bill Nye, science rules.
Yeah. We're studying for the first time in the 1920s, early 1900s, sex. We're starting to study sociology and the birth of psychology will happen.
But still largely on men.
Yep, pretty much. Although we have a few cool bro moments.
Yeah?
Yeah, so one thing is like, of course we kind of joke about this sometimes, but women would be told that they were hysterical sometimes, right? And you know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
So
yes, I do.
I do not believe that the person who built this machine did not understand what he was doing. I simply don't believe it. We can be stupid sometimes, not that stupid. You know what I mean?
I'm having a hysterical fit. I need cocaine and to go get treatment.
Right. And the treatment was that a doctor devised this box. It is now more or less how a dryer works. It's a spinning drum inside of a box, and it goes, dum, 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 and you sit on the box, and it treats hysteria. You sit on the box for between 15 and 30 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to the first prototype, Buzz Stick.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry, I heard it called that the other day, and I fell the fuck out, and now I refuse to call them vibrators ever again.
Yeah, and this
Buzz Stick.
This was more or less like the modern day, like writing pads, right? Like that you just straddle and they just vibrate.
Yep.
And knock, right? And like that's what was going on here, right? Like that's 100% what was going on here. So like I
mean, you're not entirely wrong because you want to You want to short circuit anxiety.
Yeah, like he was just like, well, this will help the ladies out. You know what I mean? And maybe his
Hats
wife
off to you, sir.
or his wife or a female friend or something had like direct input to this. There's a kind of joke that like he had no idea why it worked. He was just studying it scientifically. I was like, was he a wall? What? You know what I mean? Like, I don't. We have this thing where we go like, well, men back then, they never had sex.
A wall?
Yeah.
Oh,
just
great.
like, it was so
Thank
stupid. I was just like, this dude was a grown man with kids. He understood what was happening.
And for a long time, there was also the concept / theory of the upsuck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's something that like goes all the way back to the medieval period. It's like if you want to have kids, she's more likely to get pregnant if you give her an orgasm. And I was like, way to go, bro. Yeah.
I'm not sure who started that rumor, but thank you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that had a bit of a double-edged sword in it in certain legal battles, but like I think the intention was good, right?
Yeah.
And so along with our great priestess. No, none. That's what I'm going for that we were talking about earlier.
I knew you'd get there eventually.
And her orgasm moving from the brain.
Hildegard.
Yeah, like she was just like, and here's how you do it. Like,
but
here's what it is. And
but you're a pure nun.
Right. And
which bishop is it? Is it a cardinal? Who is it? Is it another nun? Yay.
Yeah. And like we've got all these cool things that throughout history that are happening at this point and being studied. We have the first gay men's groups that are all silent and all that kind of stuff, but they're popping up all over the place. By the 1950s, we have like gay rights movements.
Yes,
that are largely happening at like an academic level, but we have words like the word homosexual is being used for the first time, and court cases are being fought about this, all this kind of stuff. The one that Lawrence v. Texas overturned was a Georgia law, so we have that from before. But of course, at some point, we're going to have Stonewall. And before even Stonewall, we have the San Francisco uprising. And we have everything else. And we get this great moment in history where the shit just kind of hits the fan. Right? Like we're moving into the sexual liberation period, or like the sex revolution, and people are just
60s, 70s, and 80s
fucking tired of it.
Yep.
Right? Like people are just tired of it. And I really think that part of it is because we get television and music and books and
widespread
zines.
Media.
Right. Widespread media allows us to connect with one another, and it allows people to say, oh, I'm not alone. There's a ton of people like me. There's mailing lists. There's like advertisements in around like the arrow collar days, like 1920s, of men wearing red jackets, smokers jackets, living with other men. That's kind of like secret code that this advertisement is for gay men. Right? You've got one of my favorites is like women wearing like tweed jackets. You know what I mean? Just to kind of put it out there, like little mask, like academic, quote unquote.
Yep.
Like that's just to put it out there a little bit that we're cool.
How clever that gay culture has had to be and has been throughout all of history to survive. Because, like I said, this isn't new.
And as many people on TikTok would say, like the blueprint, like for modern culture in the community is Black culture.
Yes.
Like that's what it is that a group of people that was very used to the scrutiny, the constant aggressive scrutiny of public, marched that trail, and they knew how to have their own communities. And that goes into ball culture, that goes into masked lesbian culture, that goes into fashion, into music, into like so many places that were able to pick up on that blueprint and understand how to, once people started busting things like the Castro Hotel in San Francisco or Stonewall, where the cops would just come and bust you for deviant behavior, right? You start having these moments where like Black culture and its incredible ability to protect itself from police and from authority figures of any form, social or whatever, really gets to become like this is the fucking manual. Like this is how you do it. And then from there, it can branch out a little bit more. But it's such an interesting time because you have, like, right after Stonewall, one of the major groups that helped organize relief in the wake of Stonewall and kept the original thing going sided with the cops the next year. And I was just like, that's fucking crazy, right? But you had, like, the gay caucus for youth and anti-war and liberation. And then you've got, like, all these wonderful groups that split off. Miss Riviera, there's trans women really take the front of this. We're now at a time where I just went to a pride event in a southern Texas county.
A small southern Texas county.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. Like,
little bitty town. I mean, little bitty town.
When we were younger, like, I grew up here. I back and forth all the time, always came back. There were not pride events.
No, that it wouldn't have been possible.
There were not.
I lived in a town in South Georgia where one of my best friends was outed.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's a guy that, like, taught me how to skateboard, stuff like. He was outed. Somebody caught him with his boyfriend. Someone assaulted his boyfriend. He damn near murdered this dude because he was a skate punk guy. He knew how to box, and he, like, fucked this dude up bad.
As he should.
Got arrested and all that kind of stuff. Just for protecting someone's life.
Self-defense of another person.
Yeah.
Third party.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, so this is the point where I swing back because we started talking about, like, shitty laws and how dangerous it was for people.
He's so organized today.
Fuck. No, I'm not. Shit everywhere.
Okay, you started out organized.
I started out organized. I had a plan, and then it all went
crazy.
Sorry. No. This was me. I wanted to talk about all of these different things, about, like, how cool and interesting LGBTQ culture is, and, like, how long it's gone back, and all the different changes, and that it's impossible to fit succinctly into a small amount of time.
Dude, I cannot tell you how many times I've had the argument with my very, very, very religious family about how the concept of homosexuality and all of that is not new.
Yeah.
It's not new, and it's not uncommon. Continue.
Oh, so this is from Human Dignity Trust.
Mm-hmm.
They're a watchdog group that looks around for, like, this is a map of jurisdictions that criminalize LGBT. Now, what they mean by criminalize, you can look this up yourself. It's humandignitytrust.org, and they have a list of this. Now, I'm going to show you this map in a second. I need to explain part of it. So China, Russia, there's a lot of places that don't have any laws, period.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of protections. There's not a lot of... China's actually changing, which is wild. It's great, right? Like, they're starting to... There's countries like America that don't have that have protections, right? Most of North America, really all of North America, most of South America, because Brazil has protections. That doesn't necessarily mean there isn't discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
That means that the law itself isn't actively cracking down. But, like, Russia, that doesn't necessarily have they don't necessarily have criminalization of homosexuality or trans identity, but because there's no protections.
Yeah.
It depends on the will of the culture, right? So if you're in places like India that doesn't have a lot of these laws, but has a several 1,000-year history of third gender spaces, then you're probably okay.
You're okay.
However, the British colonial period introduced a lot of hatred of gay men. So, like, there's that. So, like, you know what I mean? So this map isn't entirely accurate. However, I bring this up to show that, like, we still face a lot of shit in the world. We started this out showing that, like, and there are some places where being in an active relationship, sexual relationship, penetrative relationship in, like, ancient Assyria had a lot of penalties that could result in death. In the medieval period, it could result in death. Any amount of gay relationship could result in death, especially for men. Through most of Western history, living or dressing as the other gender could get you a lot of fines, maybe thrown in jail. Here in America, people thought you were insane. They would throw you into an asylum. That's unfortunately a very real thing.
Yep.
And many people died in the process. And it became like, that sucks. We kind of glossed over that period because I'll be honest with you, I don't really like talking about that. Like, it kind of fucks me up a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
So, like, today, the places that are still very, very dangerous are northern, eastern, western Africa. Not so much on the there's a couple of places in southern Africa where it's very much illegal to be gay. And when I say criminalized, I mean criminalized. It is illegal to be gay. And most of the Middle East.
Yep.
Many of these places, there is a death penalty for being caught in any kind of sexual act, homosexual sexual act. It's illegal to be trans. This is not necessarily let's say, like a Christian or Muslim thing, because you also have countries that are majority Islamic in which it is not fully criminalized. Now, it's criminalized a little bit, but it's not like how it is in, let's say, Iran or Afghanistan. And there's a couple of countries in South America that are very Catholic, that even though most of the Catholic world, complete decriminalization.
Yeah.
Right? Like complete
didn't the Pope recently, I think it was the last Pope actually, who recently came out and said, we don't care.
Yeah, it was Desmond Tutu has a very famous, the Archbishop has a very famous saying where he was they said people are trying to say that being LGBT was a choice, right? And he goes, I don't know why anyone would choose to experience the amount of prejudice that comes your way, right? For being gay. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. That was his whole vibe about that, was like, no, also, I don't think anybody's choosing this.
I have a standing theory that anybody who says being gay is a choice is choosing to be straight.
Yeah, that's right. Often the most violent people.
Mm-hmm.
Angry and closeted. And so, like, but unfortunately, I'm going to show you this map here, Katie. It's a pretty big swatch.
Oh, my God.
So there is a correlation between all these places, right? Because the thing is, like, Christianity and Islam and Judaism exist all over the rest of that map, and where it is gray and it is not criminalized. So what's the real correlation? And the correlation is lack of education. That's what it is. There's a couple of things. There's lower standards of education in several of these places, lower economic development, and in conjunction to all of this, theocracy.
Yep.
That is the religion runs the government itself, or at least has a lot of power in the government. And that's irrespective of religion. Like that could not have anything to do with Abrahamic religion. They're, very unfortunate. And I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, like, some of these places are predominantly Buddhist, which is wild to me, right? Like, or predominantly Hindi, or like, that's.
I still don't understand. I genuinely do not understand.
Yeah.
Why do you care?
Why do you care? Right. Yeah. What the fuck?
Who cares if two people of the same gender are in love?
Yeah.
Why do you care?
Why does
it matter?
What? But, Yemen, Somalia, death penalty. Like, it's wild to me that this still even exists. That in Egypt, of all, because Egypt does have a lot of trade, has a lot of tourism, has a lot of trade. 3 years imprisonment and a fine of 3,000 lira.
Jesus.
It's the craziest thing. Like, we just spent like 2 hours talking about all the advancements and where we came from, and like now it's protected. In America, it's protected under the law. There's anti-discrimination. That's being fought by a very specific group of people. But for the most part, we have like legal protections, school protections. You can't be denied a house, any of that kind of shit. You can get married in most states, really every state. But like, nobody can tell you what to do in your own house as long as like you're not hurting anybody. But still, all around the world, that's the morbid of this Monday. And I think the only thing that's really going to stop that is like mass activism.
People should not be condemned for who they love.
Yeah.
There's no need for that. There's no reason.
Yeah, there isn't. Other than like, I got this book that says,
what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
Why are you so jealous?
it is kind of whack ass. I don't know, like to have a death penalty is crazy to me
for
like,
being in a same-sex relationship. Ugh.
But yeah,
Pisses me off.
that's my up and down emotional roller coaster of this 2 hour and 30-minute long episode. The longest one we've ever done.
I got super lucky being bisexual.
Yeah.
And being like coming out to my dad was probably one of the the least traumatic experiences I've ever heard about. My dad was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Does she make you happy? Yeah. Okay. And that was it.
She has all the copies of Fruits Basket.
Right. Oh my God. It was so, I don't know. I read and hear all these horror stories.
Yeah.
From people that are coming clean, are trusting their parents, the people that are supposed to love and protect you no matter what. Like you are the genetic legacy of these people.
Yeah.
And coming out to them and being disowned, being beaten.
Yeah.
Being kicked out,
Yeah.
thrown into like hardcore, like traumatize you straight therapies. Ugh.
One of those crazy ass fucking pray the gay away kind of things.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, no religion or organization should try to tear you down.
Yeah.
And if they are, get the fuck out.
Yep.
Because you don't want anything to do with that.
But this is why, for anybody who's listening that's never heard this, this is one of those reasons why people say be gay, do crimes.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes being gay is a crime.
Yeah, like it's the backlash. It's you make progress, there's a backlash, but eventually you win. Like that's the kind of like long-standing history of this, is that eventually you win.
Listen, I'm not the largest proponent for stick it out.
Yeah.
If you're being mistreated, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
However, in this particular instance of resisting the societal religious norm, hang in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Try to create community where you can. We're big on mutual aid.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like grassroots revolution.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you got to go find your people. It's why so many LGBTQ people like move to cities as soon as they can, because they go find their people. You know, like where you're safe and have network. And
honestly, the internet has probably been a blessing to these communities.
Yeah.
So
you can't fucking stop it. There's no stopping it. You know what I mean? Like it's just not going to happen.
We grew up in the birth of the digital age, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we are the last generation that stayed out on the streets until the lights came on. And then, like, the next year had a computer.
Oh, yeah.
So.
that
dial up
noise.
AOL chat rooms.
Good God.
I'm just saying, the internet is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
There's bad stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
But the internet and the community it can bring you can be a boon. So hang in there. You're not alone.
Yep. Oh, man. Anyways, you ready to get out of here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yep. Let's go look up furry art. Just to piss off the people who keep trying to make it illegal.
Why?
It's
art.
I don't know. There's all kinds of shit.
The entirety of 90s cartoons. Anyway.
Yeah. And people wonder.
Thundercats. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye. Hey, this is Brian from Morbid Mondays. If you like the show, please consider stopping by at our Ko-fi account. That's ko-fi/Morbid Mondays. It's $1 a month, or just any one-time tip. And if you would like to help us fund our future endeavors or just want to show a little bit of appreciation, awesome. Thank you so much for listening. And if you don't. Whatever. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening.